And in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. This is your listening host, Christian Barr, and you are tuned into the Barr and Friends podcast. Tonight is a very special episode. People have been requesting to have this guest on the pod for a while now. She's God-fearing. She's a wife, mother. Just got promoted at her job as manager of the managers. She loves to sing in the car and do ad-libs and to be in nature, naming all the birds in the earth.
Yep.
For the first time on the Barr and Friends podcast, I introduce my best friend, my only sleeping partner. Well, that's not true. I had several before her, but she's like from 2024, prayerfully until...
TMI.
Yeah, okay. For the first time on the Barr and Friends podcast, I introduce my lovely and incredible wife, Joylene Rebecca Barr.
Thank you. That's not my middle name.
Oh, that's right.
I don't have
You don't have a middle name. Well,
probably one of the few Latinos that doesn't. Me and my siblings, we just...
wow. Okay. How are you, my love?
Okay.
You all right?
Yeah.
Praise. Okay. Day was good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay. Good. Well, for starters, we watch a lot of TV.
We do. Probably more than we should.
Yeah, like, that's our thing. What has been your favorite show that you've liked watching together?
Oh. I mean, we just finished House of David, which, if anyone hasn't seen, it's very good. I like some of the, I feel like some of the side stories that they have added to the biblical perspective of it they haven't been too far-fetched. They've been plausible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And The Chosen, also. Not that we only watch Christian shows. We don't only watch Christian shows. We watch plenty of things. But yeah, those are probably the ones that I've the ones that I enjoy watching, just because, it's clean, so you don't have to worry about awkward. We're married now, so it's whatever. But it's still, I just call me a prude. I just prefer clean, no language. Some of the shows we have tried to start watching, and I can't deal with the language.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I don't feel the need. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, shout out to Kevin Hart. We tried to watch something with Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes, and
it was just F-bombs. F this, F that, F you, F me, F everyone, F everything. And I was like, if you could just literally took off all of the Fs, it'd be fine. But the story seemed interesting, but I just couldn't. When we watched 2 episodes of that, I think. Maybe one.
Maybe one.
I don't even think we got... No, I think we tried to watch a second episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, let me give it... And he just... so... Yeah.
I hear that. I think for me, my love, it's in between... I'm in between 2 shows. Manifest.
Oh, we really liked Manifest. That was a good
show.
Yeah.
And The Equalizer with Queen Latifah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice and clean show as well.
That one is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Those are
there are some definitely some like tough topics that it brings up, but it doesn't go too hard on like sex and drugs and stuff. Like it's while there's still like cool action parts and clearly like good people versus bad people and like that kind of stuff. But yeah, absolutely.
Was that y'all's thing? And when I say y'all, I'm talking about like your siblings, your mom and dad. Like, was that the thing that y'all did back in the day? Was just grab some food and just hurtle around the TV and just watch TV?
Yeah, we have, as much as I think mom would have liked more often for us to have sat around the dining room table and had family dinners. We just tended to sit around the living room coffee table, each with our own little individual, fold up tables and our plates and stuff, and we'd watch TV. Usually dinner would be right before church, because we'd have church several times a week. Growing up, that was the church I grew up in, and so dinners were, eat this real quick before you have to start getting ready for church, and then we have to go pick up grandma and go to church. That was the life. So yeah, I mean, so there wasn't like a lot of conversation happening, and we didn't necessarily all like the same shows, but Dad, if he was there, would kind of whatever Dad was watching was what we were watching usually. And then if Dad wasn't there, then Mom would just watch whatever we wanted to watch, because she wasn't really for the TV anyway. But yeah.
I'm the same way. Like, it was just me and my mom, so she would just cook a meal and we would watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters, and it'd be good times for sure.
We
definitely.
also did that Saturday nights after church, because we had church on Saturday, and Friday nights after church. It would be, for us, it was Nick at Night. So it was I Love Lucy, Happy Days, all those old timey shows, which is, I love them, because I love old things. Black and whites and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's, and Fresh Prince was one. The Cosby Show. Not Family Matters, not so much. But
really?
Yeah. I don't know why. It was on, right? I don't know if it was on the same channel or on different channel, whatever. But yeah, we liked Urkel, but Fresh Prince was really where it was at. It was hilarious. Okay. I think my siblings and I can probably, maybe more so my siblings are younger than me, but I think we can probably recite the episodes verbatim. Watching them, we could probably just talk back to all of the things, say everything that Will said.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, y'all weren't big on Family Matters? That's crazy.
No, yeah, I don't know why. That one just didn't. Full House. Mm-hmm. That was more, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it depended on the time. And I was, I'm 4 years older than my brother, so him and my sister kind of have their own series of shows that they also were really into. SpongeBob and that kind of stuff, and I was out of it already by then.
Wow. Okay. Now, this is one of the reasons why I married you, and I kind of wanted you to break this down. I want you to explain just your childhood being raised in church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want you to elaborate on that, because I think that is just foundational of who you are. Yeah. And I mean, that's why I married you, because you're in the church, you are a believer, and so share.
Well, we are a church-going family. There was no question about going to church.
Yeah.
Church was where we were at. Some Tuesday nights for prayer, Bible study, but almost every Friday night for youth and kids, Saturday for men's or women's, and then Sunday school on Sunday and Sunday service. And the service lasted, usually, including Sunday school, about 4 hours on a Sunday. So you were there all day. It just was a given. My mom, she was raised that way by my grandmother. My grandmother knew that from Puerto Rico, where she grew up, and so that just was it. It was there was no question about it. It was like our automatic. Are you breathing today? You're breathing today. Are we going to church today? We're going to church today. Like there's no, there was no question about it. So, and I'm not sure if on my dad's side, if it was that strict. There definitely was the upbringing, and there was definitely the expectation of living a Christian life. The going to church, I think, was a little bit more optional on my dad's side. But my dad definitely let mom. She's raising the kids, so however she raises and decides to do, she decides to do, and it's okay. So that was what we did. We went to church all the time, and we were musicians kids. My dad's a musician. My mom sings, and she has musicians on her side of the family as well. So we were involved. So it wasn't just going to church, but we were actually participating in church. And I enjoy singing. My sister sings and plays instruments. My brother plays instruments. He sings too, but he doesn't sing as often. And my dad can sing too, even though he doesn't sing.
Wait a minute.
He does.
What?
Yeah. One time he actually even sang a song for my mom at church, and we were all like, "Ooh!" It was nice. But anyway, yeah. But our lives were surrounded by church. It just every weekend was church heavy. It did make it tough as a kid to be able to be involved in extracurriculars. Our extracurricular was church.
Right.
We that's where we went. That's where we were. So there were times where we wanted to be involved in things as we got older. School plays and concerts and things like that, where it was like, is it on church night? Because if it is, we don't know if we're going to be able to go or not. Because church was our life, and even when there wasn't church services, in youth group we would hang out with our friends, and sometimes after church we would want to hang out, watch movies or go bowling or do something to kind of have those extra activities. So everything was church. Church and connected to church and involved with church, and we'd have church trips to other churches. Oh, wow. To see them and hang out with them. Youth camp in the summers, and that was my entire world was that, pretty much up until the time I went to college.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you cultivate your relationship excuse me, with Jesus on your own?
So I will say that I felt like, one, when you're young, you have a lot of time, right? So it feels like it anyway. I mean, I do believe the Lord is definitely shortening the hours and days. These days, I feel like we don't have time to do anything anymore.
Nope.
And it's not just because we're getting old. But so you're young, so, whenever I had free time and I, felt like a Saturday, I had the day I had no responsibilities, I have no bills to pay, I have no, nothing like that. So I would be able to go outside and lay out in the sun and sing to the trees and, the birds and things. I'd be able to have those moments. But it also, going to church so often kind of like helped enhance my relationship, I felt like, because my thought process was always about church, about serving, about, if it was preaching or singing a song or something like that. Even if I had some free time, usually I was practicing a song that I was going to sing at church that night. Or I'd prepare, I'd be listening to CDs, whatever was the newest album or something that was up and coming, and I'd want to bring the song to church, so I would practice it, or I'd practice it with my dad, so that the musicians could be with me in what I was trying to prepare and bring to church.
Right.
So I feel like, because it was Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even on the breaks, I was preparing for Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So because it was so often, I think it just kind of like happened through through the natural rhythm of that.
Right.
And so now that we attend a church that does not have as many days, it definitely feels a little. I have to be way more intentional now, whereas before I feel like it just kind of happened, and it was. It just was a part of, living and breathing for me. So there wasn't even at school. I was with my friends at school, and we all went to church. Not all, but.
Oh.
Yeah, I had several people from my youth group that were in school with me. So there would be church conversation, like, you know what I mean? It just kind of like bled into everything. So I feel like it was just easier then, in the sense that I didn't have to be so intentional about it. And then also just the simplicity of youth, not needing to. I wasn't so bogged down by adulting and all the responsibilities that brings. So now I definitely have to be more intentional. Once you have children, things don't come so easy. Time is not so easy. Time alone is not so easy. So whereas before I feel like it was a little bit easier, now I have to plan my conversations with the Lord, and sometimes they're as I'm going along and doing other things as well, but then also trying to be like really intentional about taking alone time with Him, and dedicating that for Him.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. I've been thinking about this thought lately, where you don't necessarily. Yes, you do. You definitely need to have a devotional life, to pray, to read your word, all that.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, talking to God is like an ongoing, continued conversation. You know what I mean? Especially, I guess as you get older and you realize how much you really need Him, and you desire to talk to Him more, like I find myself, driving or as I'm working, just having just a casual conversation with the Lord. So I don't think that, yes, it's necessary to, take some time away to spend with the Lord. But I think like our marriage, texting you throughout the day, well, not as much because you are a manager of the managers now, but throughout the day we're talking, we're texting, and so I think that should be a reflection of our relationship with Him, where it's like an ongoing dialogue between us and Him. So
absolutely. I don't feel like I ever have to. There are moments where I'm like, I'm going to pray now, but I mean, the rest of the time, if I can't sleep, I should do this yesterday. If I can't sleep and I wake up in the middle of the night, they say, whoever they are, they say that it might be that the Lord wants to speak with you, like He called Samuel in the middle of the night, And so I've taken that to heart in general, and sometimes it's my own, my mind hasn't stopped running from the day, or it was so busy in the day that I didn't actually think of the other things that I needed to think of. But instead of trying to push against it now and like force myself back to sleep, I'll just be like, okay, Lord, there's a reason why I'm awake. Maybe it's that you want me to talk to you. Maybe I need to pray for my husband, pray for my son, pray for whatever name of whatever person comes to mind right now. Maybe the pastors at the church, there's a lot going on there, like, all that kind of stuff. And so that prayer, with that, I'll sometimes go back to sleep. Usually I fall back asleep. That's 1, 2 in the morning, whatever it is. And then I wake up in the morning and I still have those thoughts in my head, and I'll wake up continuing the prayer. So it's a continued conversation. Like, I'll wake up and I'm just like, oh, okay. And it's almost like I fell asleep with the thought, and I wake up and I still have the same thought in my mind, because I'm like, I'm just almost training myself to, when I wake up, pray. So when I wake up, I'm already like thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for my son again. And, you know, like whatever, if there's anything going on with him, you know, like, just bring it to mind. And then I kind of move on. But then in the car, again, you're, you know, like alone time, then, you know, I can drive and think of the Lord and
Right.
sing a song, or, you know, pray specifically for something that comes to mind, or whatever it is. And I do pray a lot at my job, because things are crazy at my job sometimes. And so if I hear anything, sometimes, you know, I don't know what's happening out in the hallway. It sounds a little crazy. Before I go out there, Father God, please help whoever that is. Help them. And if I recognize their voice, I will call out the name of the student and be like, you know, you know, you put your spirit on them. You know, if they don't know who you are, show them who you are right now. Let them chill out. You know, and then also give me wisdom, because half the time I know that I don't always know what I'm doing, especially in this new position. So I try to be humble enough, one, because I know I don't know, but then open enough to say, you know, like, I do want to learn. And the only one who can teach me outside of the people who are teaching me is the Lord, who knows all things. So I will, that's me throughout the day. Anytime something comes up that I don't know, I'll be like, Lord, help me, you know, like, how do I figure this out? How do I make this work? How do I, you know, and I'll have ideas and things will come to mind, and I'll be like, thank you. And I move on, and then something else comes up. So I do feel like the prayer is almost like a constant, it's a constant for me conversation. So yes, taking out time specifically to pray, but I'm talking to him.
Yeah,
I'm talking
right.
to him constantly.
All the time. No, for sure. Definitely. So, going into the next segment of the pod, usually I would call this the Genesis, where I would ask different guests to kind of just share with me, you know, part of their beginning of life. But I'm going to change it up for our pod, and so I kind of want us to share our Genesis of the beginnings of our love story, of how we first met. So
Yes.
I'm gonna kick it to you, and then we'll just bounce back. And yeah, my love, share.
Yeah. So, I was single for a while after my previous relationship which was with my son's father. I wasn't looking for nobody. I wasn't trying to go anywhere. I just, you know, I needed at the time just the separation, and then I needed to figure out how to survive, because I wasn't ready. It didn't matter how old I wasn't ready. So thankfully, you know, my parents allowed me to live at home and help raise my son with them. So I was able to get a job and kind of save some money and do a lot of things that I'm really thankful and grateful for. But in that time, I want to say that I was single for about 7 years, 6, 7 years before, before we met. And I definitely started seeking a partner probably a couple of years before you and I actually met. So it's not like it happened right away.
Right.
And at the time, I wasn't even really fully sure that I was ready, you know, whatever ready would be. But I just was like, I knew that I was like, I'm old. I need to live in my own place, and I don't want to live by myself and raise my son by myself. So I need a partner, and I need to do this. And I felt like I had become way more aware of my contribution to the previous relationship not working. Not always, you know, blaming the other person, but understanding the things that you need to know about yourself, how you came across, what you didn't know, what you didn't do, that kind of thing. So I felt like in that respect, I was ready to kind of go into another relationship and hopefully learn from the previous mistakes or be mature enough to kind of be able to work through things better with another person. So I went on dating apps, and I was looking for black men because that's what I like. I was open to others, however, just my preference. Anyone who knows me knows that I love chocolate, so I have I have loved chocolate a long time. I didn't go on like any particular website for anything. I have my preferences. So I went on dating apps. Nothing particularly Christian, but I just went on some apps. Met some very nice gentlemen. Some awkward, weird, different gentlemen. But I learned a lot just from the conversations. Sometimes certain traits that they had or things that they had, I was like, I don't know if I like that. Like it gave me the opportunity to not. I liked that. I was listening to a lot of podcasts at the time, relationship podcasts, single podcasts. Thank you, Kat. She keeps smacking me the tail. This is Clover, by the way, everyone. Different podcasts, different things that were like giving me a lot of insight into, what you bring to the table and what another person. So that kind of helped. And so I tried to go into the dating scene as a date. It's an opportunity for me to see if I want to go on another date. It wasn't it was about marriage, but I think a lot of apps, a lot of the podcasts helped me see that it didn't have to be about marriage on date one.
Yeah.
We tend to, in Christian circles, be like, I'm looking for my husband, I'm looking for my wife, could this be them on date one? And it's like, how about you just wait to see if you want to go on another date with them? That's not about do you want to do life with them just yet. Yeah. You'll be doing life as you go through the dates, but let's just see if we want to make it to another week, so I think that really helped me not get too crazy in the dating process, but some of the dates weren't. I was looking for Christians, not on Christian dating sites, but I felt like I wasn't fully getting. I was getting agnostics and some Christians, but then it was just a little bit different. So I wanted to expand my opportunity for meeting more Christians. So that's when I went on the actual Christian dating site, and that's when we met. I don't know if there was anybody else. I don't remember if there was anybody else on that site in particular that I talked to. Maybe one or two other people, but I don't think it went anywhere. I didn't actually meet anybody from that site until I met you. And yeah, I saw this very handsome Israel Houghton-esque, very photogenic. You looked tall in your pictures. You're not as tall as I thought you were going to be. That's okay. Tall was not one of my requirements. Taller than me was one of my requirements, but I'm not very tall anyway. But yeah, so the pictures I really loved, and I appreciated that when I swiped saying that I was interested in you, you had already swiped saying you were interested in me, and probably within the first, it was not very long before you responded after I swiped. I felt like I swiped and you were like, hey. Not to make you sound desperate, but maybe the timing was just really good. Let's just say that. The timing was really good. So, and then, we talked a lot.
Yeah, we did. I don't even know where to even start. I think for me, I went on a few. Well, I'll actually start with someone that I was dating before you. Yeah, I kind of want to get that in real quick. I think that was in a season where I wanted to, you know, settle down, get married, have a family, all that. And so there was a woman that I was dating, and I met her. I think I met her on the same dating app that I met you on. And it seemed like it was a good match. We got along, we talked, and I was trying to move things along to make it more of a serious relationship. But she just kept on telling me to kind of just, just chill. And I wasn't being rushful at all. It was just a matter of, well, we text all day. I see you 2 to 3 times out the week. Like, what's the hold up, I can understand if this was a long distance type of thing, sure. But I'm like, let's just make this thing exclusive. But coming to find out, after, talking to her and getting to know her more, she just had some things in her life that she hadn't surrendered to the Lord. And she was just going through past traumas and things of that nature. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool, but why are you on a dating website then? Excuse me. If you're not willing to date due to your past, like, why be on there? And so I kind of felt like that was a waste of my time. But I mentioned that because that was at the time that I was meeting you and I was getting to know you, and I knew that I had to make a decision. But before then, when I swiped right or left, I forgot what it was, but I don't know what it was. Of course you were beautiful, but I think
Was.
you still are.
Thank you.
Still are. Correction, you still are. I felt that it was a mixture of, when I saw your picture online, it was a mixture of, she's the one, I can marry her, but I don't know. It was just a feeling of, you need to get to know her. Cool. So I was in between you and her, and there's this one night. Well, it was a day. We were at Central Park, and you were telling me about, well, then your brother and your sister, but now it's, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law. But you were just telling me about, life and church life, and a little bit about you and your brother and your sister, your mom and your dad, and etc. And
Was that our first date?
yes.
That probably was.
That was our first date, yes.
We had been talking for not to tell people. Please don't believe that I just went on a first date and I started divulging family secrets.
Yes, no.
On our first date. But we had already been talking for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
You were very wise in having us do Marco Polos.
Oh, for sure.
Because it was video chatting, so I knew you were a real person, not a serial killer.
Right.
Which was important. And this was post-COVID, just at the end of COVID. Actually, COVID was still kind of happening.
Right.
And so we really had no way to see each other outside of, video chatting. And so we had already been talking for 2 weeks, and then had our first date at Central Park. Yeah,
at Central Park, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you were vulnerable, and I think that I shared some things too, and I knew then, I was like, you know what? I know that I'm gonna have to make a decision real soon because I cannot let this woman just pass me by. Like that was just like my mindset. And so with the other chick, you know, we would talk, but I just found myself wanting to talk to you more, wanting to get to know you, and so I just wasn't feeling it, and she wasn't giving me what I wanted. I wanted a relationship. I wanted us to be a thing, and it was just so many pauses. And so I told this woman gently, I said, hey, you know, we need to just, you know, just let's just be friends. And I mean, she wasn't happy, but I knew. Actually, I had a conversation with my father about this. I said, listen, I said, Pops, I'm feeling this way, and I know that I need to make a decision, but I felt like I already made a decision. I just didn't want to come off like I was crazy, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I knew who I wanted to be with. And my dad was like, well, hey, I mean, if you already made your mind up, go on ahead and do it. And so, yeah. And so I ended that. And after that, because we were still talking, but after that, I was like, okay, I really want us to work and to give this a shot. And this too, not many people know this, but like you made an hour commute from here, from
2 hours.
oh, excuse me, my bad, 2 hours.
It was a 2 hour. So I will say I did put forth a lot, maybe a lot more than they suggest a young lady does put forth.
Yeah.
For me it was a bit more. It was convenient. I had my own car. He didn't have a car. I knew what time I could get up and get ready and either, have my son be with his dad or, stay with my parents or eventually, join us on dates and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I liked the drive. I love driving. And I love listening to my podcasts or my books or whatever it is on the way. So to me, it wasn't so much of an inconvenience. I paid to get down there, of course, tolls and gas and whatever, but then you'd cover everything else.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, some in my family had opinions about how much I was seemingly giving up front, when the man is supposed to take care of all the things. But I got to see a lot of New York City, and he knew a lot of really cool places to go to, and we went to places together that neither of us had ever been to before.
Yeah.
And so it was, he planned everything all the time. And so I really appreciated that because at least, I did put forth a little bit more with the drive and that kind of thing, but you took care of the rest. So.
No, for sure. No, absolutely. And so, yeah, I did. Yeah. I forgot that. That part. Yeah. So, from there, I was just committed, and I definitely wanted us to become exclusive. And from there, I went to your church, family church at that time, it's Liberty now, and you came to the Grace Place, and wow, okay, Clover. So yeah, that's pretty much like the whole, like how we met, we got together, and all that. Am I missing anything? I think that was pretty, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
What was your favorite date that we went on when we were in the city?
I enjoyed a lot of our dates. I appreciated you valuing enough my love of nature to take me to botanical gardens.
Oh, yes.
That they were beautiful and in season. even when they weren't in season. It was nice. It was a nice warm day, but the grass had not grown and the flowers had not bloomed and whatever. But it was nice to be outside, and I loved our walks in the park.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was anything. Oh, our paint and sip was probably one of my favorite. We didn't sip, but but we painted.
That's right, we didn't sip.
And
yeah,
that
wow.
was because they was bring your own whatever, and I didn't know what we were.
Ew.
I don't know what we were bringing.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah.
Okay.
I really liked that. I thought that was different.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I even considered our church dates, you know, like we went to church and then went out to eat afterwards or whatever. I don't count that. I mean, anytime I got to spend with you was fantastic. So the ramen place was really cool.
Yeah.
Going to All Nations was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I think every one showed me something different about you. Showed me a different side of you, a different characteristic that I was looking for, and that's what I always prayed on my 2-hour drives down to the city. More often than not, it would be, Lord, help me to, help us to remain focused on the point of the date. It's not to make out for hours on end, but to, learn about each other, to learn the characteristics that I had in my mental list of who I wanted in a husband. I had the 1 Corinthians 13, those traits, love is patient. I want my husband to be patient. I want my husband to be kind. I want him to be gentle and have the fruits of the Spirit and all the things. So I was able to. I wouldn't pray for a full 2 hours. That's a little ridiculous. But not to bash those that do. I just, I would take the opportunity since I had it to speak to the Lord on the way down and say, prepare me for this and help me to look out for these traits that I'm really looking to seek in this person. And so, whether it was church or food or walking or just all the things that you were willing to think of and be open to and try out with us together. It helped me get to know you from different sides.
Okay, babe. Yeah. We also did dumplings as well.
Oh,
dumplings
always.
Was our thing. Yeah.
After the first time you introduced me to dumplings, I had never known dumplings prior to you.
Really?
Never. The first time I had dumplings was with you.
Wow.
And they are delicious.
They are.
And we haven't had them in a while, so we need to go back to our spot in Astoria.
Sure, babe. For sure, my love.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Yeah. What do you recall from our wedding day? Because honestly, it's like just a blur. Things were just moving so quickly, and time really it really wasn't on our side on my side that day. But well, no, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Let's talk about the engagement. I have a story on this. I'll never forget this. We were, was it Flatiron? No, it was not Flatiron. It was Chelsea. And at this time, we were dating for almost a year, I want to say. At least 9-10 months.
It was almost a year, yes.
Yes. And I'll never forget, we were just walking, and you just straight up just asked me, like, okay, Christian, it's been a year. Any thoughts on, putting a ring on it? Now, of course, sidebar here. I've always wanted to get married. I've always wanted to, just do things in a orderly fashion. And even though I knew that it was almost a year, and my response to you was, I'm not ready. I need to save up more money. But talking to other married men, I'm beginning to understand that you'll never be ready. It's gonna always be, something's always gonna come up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you were just saying, okay, and that was my valid excuse to you, which I was like, hey, like, I hear you, I'm coming, I'm trying to save some money. And then from there, we kind of just planned it out. You gave me some ideas and I thought about it. But I wanted to give it a little bit more time, not just because of, finances and stuff like that. It's just because it's like, I never really had a relationship that was so strong and that it lasted this long, And so I was like, wow, like I actually have someone that I love and that she loves me, and we're really considering marriage. And so I'm just like, whoa, this is a first. And so I just didn't really, I knew what I needed to do. I haven't came to that level. So everything was just new. And so I think it was maybe a year and some change brought you down to Florida. And
It was almost 2 years. Just saying. I was very patient. Not that I didn't bring it up another time or two.
you did.
I did a few times
few
after
more
that
times.
initial talk. I'm like, okay, it's been a year.
But yes.
Where are we going?
Yes.
What are we doing? Okay, it's been a year and a half.
And then and then I brought you to see my mom a couple times. But then maybe on the second or third time I was like, no, I need to go on ahead and put a ring on it. And you already gave me the ring, so I just needed to go on ahead and figure out the time. Yeah. And so
My grandmother's ring.
Yes.
Family heirloom.
Yes. And so, man, the day was just perfect. We got breakfast, and then we went to a nice park, and I held you for a minute, and then I just got on one knee and I asked you to marry me, and
I had no idea.
took some photos, and that was it. And
Yeah.
I was just so happy, so overjoyed, and yeah, that was such a great moment in my life. And it's almost kind of hard to put into words, because it's like, you waited so long for this. Now that it's here, it's like, man, what do you do? But yeah, how did you feel when I asked you? Well, you're probably saying to yourself, finally, but how did you feel in that moment?
So it was finally, and then I'm not wearing the right outfit. Which is such a girl thing to say. Like, you could have hinted better. But, no, it was nice. It was beautiful. The area that you took me to, with the palm trees and the water, and it was outside, and I thought it was very nice. I had no idea that the photographer that was there for me, or us, I should say. It was our moment. Yeah, it was surprising. I felt afterwards that I should have expected it, just because we had done this whole trip, to like see your mom in person and like, have our just see your side of the family. You had already met my family and had already met my son and like all the things, and I had already talked to your mom on the phone. But I feel like I probably, looking back on it now, like I probably should have realized he's taking me to Florida. It's probably going to be really soon. And I think maybe I thought it was really soon. I just didn't think it was going to happen on the trip.
Yeah.
So, but it ended up, being a beautiful day, and then I left you.
Yeah.
And I went to go see my aunt.
Yeah.
That was an unexpected part of the trip that was not
Yes.
was not actually supposed to be a part of the trip, but I was down there and I had to go see my aunt. So
okay.
But yeah, I felt really good. It felt nice to tell people about it. Initially, I didn't know what the planning aspect would be, because the first thing that everyone asks is, okay, when's the date? And it's like literally just happened. I don't know. We have not even talked beyond I said yes. And then it was, all of the
planning,
which is a whole thing in and of itself.
Yes.
Lots of money, lots of options, and I'm not a decider. And my sister knows this, which is why she was supposed to plan my wedding, but she was going to plan my wedding for me. But it was okay. It worked out just fine. I think I became much more decisive in that. I was like, oh, I get to decide. I can decide. Forget everyone else, their opinions on, it's my wedding. I can decide whatever I want. And so that whole experience was great. And then I think we were engaged a little more than a year. A little more than a year?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it was almost less. It was almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year to the point that we got married, yeah.
Wow.
So, because it was November, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we got engaged in November, and then we got married in November.
In November, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Now, going to the wedding day, and it was beautiful. I mean, story time, just story time. So the day before, we had a little bit of a run through of the actual wedding
rehearsal.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
And it was. They say, or the weather was saying, it's going to be windy, and the understanding that we had was the wedding was going to be like out in the beach. It wasn't going to be in the pavilion. But the wedding planner was saying, listen, tomorrow's going to be windy. It's already windy now. What do you want to do? And I'm like, man.
Yeah, even while we were practicing, my hair was like in my face, here, in his face, all the things. It just...
Yeah. It was a problem. And so, of course, my mom's crazy. She,
Your mom's awesome.
She says, son, let me holler at you for a minute. I'm like, all right. She's like, listen, I know that you want this wedding to be like out in the sand, but it's windy. And you need to do what your wife is telling you, what your bride is telling you to do, your fiance. I'm like, man, I know, but I want to be out on the beach. But no, it just made sense just to, have it in the pavilion. I mean, it was still windy, but it wasn't as bad as it would have been if we would have been out in the ocean. But no, it was an incredible day. I woke up that day, went downstairs, changed, saw my stepson, saw Willie. Shout out to you, Willie. And and then the next thing I know, I'm walking my mom down the aisle, and then I just see you and, my father-in-law, and that was it. We were married. But yeah, the wedding was beautiful. Just from Shauna, I'm forgetting, Trent, from Shauna to Trent, the musicians. It was so good. It was an incredible day.
Yeah.
And no, I'll never forget that day like that. Yeah, like I felt that day felt like heaven to me. I'm marrying the woman of my dreams, and you know, said my vows, and yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah. I like that we went a little bit different in that we didn't have a night wedding. We had a morning wedding.
Yes, yes.
So I've heard that people who have night weddings still wake up early to do hair, makeup, photos, all the things.
Wow.
And I just felt like it was more efficient. If I'm going to wake up early, let me just do this thing, like,
Right.
let's get it done and over with. Just because it's great. Like, let's go to the party. That's what that's ultimately what we want.
Right.
And so, yeah, that morning I was up very early for hair and makeup because our wedding, I think, was like at 10, 11, something. It was early. It was a brunch. It was like a brunch wedding. No,
Yeah.
actually 10. I think our wedding was at 10. And so I was up at 5. Hair and makeup, doing the things, putting on the dress, getting some photos with like mom and my sister helping me get ready, that kind of thing. And then we did our first look and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it was nice because once the wedding was over, and even when the reception was over, we still had a whole afternoon because the wedding was done by
That's
2:00. So people were hanging out at the beach. People were hanging out by the pool. It was windy and cold, colder than I would have liked. But it was still like you still had the day.
Right.
We got up and did the thing that we all came to do, and then were able to kind of like move on to whatever other activities as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it was great. I don't feel like I got to try all of the food that I wanted to try after
Right.
I paid for all of it. But overall, I mean, it was fantastic. The DJ was fantastic.
Yes.
All of our guests who came really, enjoyed themselves, and everybody commented kind of the same thing. Like, it was different that you still had a whole day ahead of you. Everybody was relaxed. We had mimosas and still had cake and all the things, but it was like, more so breakfast, brunch kind of foods, and so everybody kind of had nice options to kind of go with.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great.
What was your favorite moment of the wedding?
I think your vows to Caleb were very sweet, and so seeing him be so touched by them, I thought was really nice. I thought it was a sweet gesture that you even wanted to, and then to be there and witness it and see how much it mattered to him, I think was great. I think that, along with, I don't know why all of my times are like when people are crying, but like even my dad seeing me for the first time and my son seeing me for the first time in my dress, both of them were.
They both cried?
They both cried. Yeah. Caleb tried to be tough, but he ended up tearing up, and then he teared up with your vows too. But yeah. And my dad, he seemed okay. He seemed put together for a little bit, but then after a while, he cried too. But no, I those more intimate moments, I think, were the rest of it. I feel like is a lot of show. Look at me in my dress, and and look at my husband in his outfit, and look at us kiss, and look at us talk about how much we love each other. All of that is a lot of show. But I think I like the more intimate moments where we're talking here, or, we were talking with Caleb there, even though everybody was watching.
Right.
And our photos were fun.
Yes.
So I liked those. Our photographers were great.
Amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it was like little bits and pieces of more into like one-on-one. I'm more of a one-on-one kind of person anyway,
Right.
but yeah, those one-on-one moments I thought were great. It was a great party with all of my favorite people, and
Sure.
you know, your favorite people, and great music and great food, and you know, the only regret was that it didn't last longer. You know,
Right.
I would have loved to have paid for another hour, maybe two, of just us, you know, just being able to hang out and have fun and dance and
Yeah, that was,
eat.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I ate that day. It was just a lot.
Well, they put everything on our plates,
Right.
which was great, but then we didn't have time because it was like people kept coming over to talk to us.
Right.
And because it was a day reception, it was a bit shorter than a night reception would be. So we were like eating, you know, as quickly as we could and trying to say hi all in the midst of everything kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
So
No, for
I
sure.
think that was the only thing. But yeah.
No, I enjoyed it. I have to give a special shout out to Pastor Stephen because for one, it's his birthday today. But
Yep.
you know, it was, and I still owe you money. I still need to send you some money for that, man. No, it was just he came and he did the wedding. He was, you know, the one that officiated the wedding, and he did great. It was amazing. He wore the exact same suit at my wedding and at Martine's and Becky's wedding.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, see,
I
I
had noticed.
noticed that.
I hadn't noticed.
It's okay. Sorry.
Listen, when you got a good suit, you got a good
Hey,
suit.
amen, amen.
That's all right. And men are allowed to rewear things. Women can't, apparently, according to society. We're not allowed to wear the same thing to different events, but but the men can rewear the same black shirt and the same black pants to every event, and you guys are fine. So
Yeah. I got two more questions for you. I'm gonna let you go.
Nice.
Well, you didn't. Well, you
Yeah.
live together.
yeah. Where am I going?
Do you think you lived out your single life well, or was it taken up by relationships or achieving the goal of being married? I know that's deep.
So I think that initially I was, yeah. I mean, I was young and kind of relationship obsessed. Not relationship obsessed, but like boy obsessed, whatever. I was a teenager, you know. So
Yeah.
I you know, I had crushes on various people on TV, and Theo Huxtable was very handsome. I the emphasis from the world is, you know, relationship, that's what you need, that's, you know, and then
Right.
the emphasis from the church is, you know, nothing can happen until you get marriage is the ultimate, you know, pinnacle of achieving anything godly, you know. And so I think I had that a lot in my mind, as I'm sure many of us did that grew up in the church, and so I don't fully, like, if you think about the entire time that I was single, or unmarried, I should say. It's part of it. I was partnered up with my son's father, and so I wasn't technically single, but we were not married. So it's on my taxes. It was still single. You know, all of that. I don't think that I wasn't wise with that time. While you're in it, you're trying to get out of it. It feels like, even when I was, you know, with my son's father, I wanted to be married then too. You know, like
Right.
the marriage was the goal
Right.
because that was what was instilled in me.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I definitely could have been more wise. I think that I wasn't I don't think I was ready to be anybody's wife at that age. Honestly, as much as I wanted to be married and at the time wanted him to marry me, it was just for the sake of saying that I was married. You know, it was not, there was no, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature. There's so many things. And you and I have said this multiple times, that if we had met at that age,
Right.
you know, as happy and comfortable as we are now, you know, we don't argue. We don't have any, we're into year 2 of our, and mind you, it's still early, so I've got that for anybody who's been in a relationship a very long time is like, just you wait and see. Got it that it's very early, but you know what I mean. Like, I think the level that we're at now, had we met and actually tried this relationship, you know, in our 20s, I don't know if it would have been successful. I don't know if, you know, for me, I don't think I was ready. So I'm glad that I took out the time afterwards to prepare myself, become more aware of my own deficiencies, my own areas that needed a little bit of extra tender love and care. and I think I was better about it having experienced the relationship that I had and saw where it failed, and being open and willing to accept my part in it failing, to learn from it, to pick up on the slack, to, you know, just do those things, I think towards the end of my single years was when I was probably more wise with it, trying to actually be intentional with it. Looking back on it, I mean, I think my single years could have really been a great time with the Lord, and I think that I took that for granted as well. I think that I threw that away, thinking that, you know, marriage was ultimately where it was at, and that you know, once I got married, then I'd be able to do the things. I think I was afraid, you know, in certain aspects of like doing it on my own. I wanted the crutch of another person. And so, you know, and I didn't want to use the Lord as my crutch, even though he is the one that we should always lean on. I didn't trust him when he said that I could do. And so I was like, you know, then I kind of backed off and was like, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to go over here and talk to this guy. So, yeah, I think I definitely could have been wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you with that, babe, because I believe that, I don't want to say that my 20s were a waste, but I feel like I could have done a little bit more better with just my relationship with the Lord. I could have fasted more, could have been more intentional with my time than just chasing relationships, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely, you know, could have, you know, used that energy to maybe mentor other men and just other ways, just other avenues that I could have been able to, you know, use my time wisely, you know? But I just, and this is why you should have faith too, because, like, you know, I didn't know that I was going to be, you know, with you and having a great and thriving and successful marriage. I was just chasing what was right in front of me, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I just think, you know, maybe just, if I could do it again, just, I was, of course, still choose you and still want to be with you, but just be more intentional with my relationship with the Lord, and just having more faith that the Lord is going to bring you when the time is right.